Hi guys, welcome to our daily encounter. A careful reader of the book of Ecclesiastes will notice uh, something that happens quite frequently within the book of Ecclesiastes. That is, there is within the book of Ecclesiastes, of course, this theme of vanity of vanities, all is vanity. Basically, there the preacher declaring the fact that everything in life is vain and empty. That if you really think about it, life under the sun, if you're just thinking about life as it is under the sun, without consideration of anything beyond the sun, it's all vain because everything happens in cycles. What has been will be again. And there's really nothing that we accomplish. Anything that we do accomplish is just left to someone else who we don't even know whether they'll make good on the accomplishments that we have made. And there's an exception to this within the book of Ecclesiastes, and that is whenever the ecclesiastical writer speaks about God, this idea of vanity seems to vanish away. We see an example of this in our reading today in chapter 5 and verse 18, where he says, "Behold that which I have seen. It is good and comely for one to eat and to drink and to enjoy the good of all his labor that he has taken under the sun, all the days of his life, which God giveth him, for it is his portion." And that's just one example of many in the book of Ecclesiastes where the writer would say, okay, this is the way that you ought to live. You should eat, you should enjoy, you should sit back and enjoy the fruits of your labor. And it's always in connection to God, and God is always mentioned in the context there. So it's almost as though the ecclesiastical writer says all is vanity except for when you plug God into the equation. Then you can eat and enjoy the riches and wealth. You can enjoy the labor that you've done when you recognize the fact that it is God that supplies those things. And so this is a great truth that we can take into our own lives, because we too might think sometimes that life is vain. And especially in those mundane day-to-day activities that we get involved in. As you think about cleaning the house, especially if you have children still living in the house, you'll recognize that you clean the house and in just a few more hours, it's just dirty again and needs cleaning once again. Or you think about mowing the grass, and you mow the grass today and within a week or two, it's grown up again and doesn't even look like you touched it. And there's so much in our lives that we do that seems very vain and empty. It seems like an empty pursuit to try to do certain things because it doesn't seem to ultimately lead to any progress. It just leads us to doing the same things over and over again. But when we plug in God, when we bring God into the equation, nothing is vain. We can be mowing the grass that we know is going to grow again in a week or two, but all the while thinking upon and reflecting on the eternal God. As we think about God in the sense that we recognize that our lives are like the grass and the flower that fades away, but that God's word is eternal and that God himself is eternal. And we're reflecting on the eternality of God. Or we're doing the dishes that we know are just going to get dirty again, but we're reflecting on God and his goodness and how he has cleansed us and how he has given us everlasting life. As we're doing these mundane things, these things that seem empty and futile, but we're doing it with our thoughts on God and elevated into the heavenly places, suddenly these vain pursuits, as we might think of them, aren't so vain anymore, but they become separated and consecrated before God. And they actually become very important parts of our lives because we're using those to again elevate ourselves into the heavenlies and allowing us to draw closer to the Lord. And so these temporary things that we do that won't last for very long now are touched with an eternal grace because we are doing them reflecting on the eternal God. So let's be encouraged by the book of Ecclesiastes in the midst of all this mention about vanity of vanities, but in there these little snippets of God in which the ecclesiastical writer recognizes that when you plug God into the equation, suddenly vain things aren't so vain, and empty things are actually very weighty things, and things that can even connect us to the eternal God. So here's some things we can reflect on and think about as we do our reading today. With that, guys, I do thank you for watching the video today. Hope you guys have a great day. Love you guys. God bless.